I would also like to talk about the Charitable Society. I know for a fact, and it was mentioned earlier, very, very succinctly by some of the speakers, of how much charity there is involved. One of the reasons, some of us may not know too much about it, is they're low-key, they're very, very quiet, they do great work, but they don't put it up on neon signs. I know personally that Sister Lena Devi was telling me that she has been the recipient, but her organization has been the recipient of donations to help young Irish immigrants get back home for whatever cases. Also, Sister Margaret from the Irish parochial Centre tells me that in one particular case, and she named it, there was a young man, a construction worker. He was had all kinds of graduation degrees coming out of each pocket, but because of immigration, he worked in construction. He fell off a roof and hurt himself seriously and could not meet his financial obligations. The Charitable Irish Society stood in, and the Charitable Irish helped him with money to take him from being very sick back into the workforce again. They do those things unknown to us, and they do those things to make them happy. I'd also like to say that I never expected to be on the same mantelpiece with Larry Reynolds and all the other awardees here tonight. Larry is exceptional, and Larry, has a great saying. He plays at hundreds of funerals, hundreds of wakes, hundreds of events, and I say, Larry, how much did you make? He said, she just said, God bless you, Larry. I said, well, God bless you, Larry, doesn't go very far. Those are for paying all you play. So, he's not getting rich on it, believe me. And I can also say that this award that he got tonight is going to be the cause of him building an addition onto his house. He's got so many awards that he has to hang up that he doesn't need that extra space. Larry mentioned it, and also our other awardee mentioned it, and that is having family support. One can never do what we do without having family support. My wife, Kitty, from Ballinagare, County West. Those of you who know are probably aware that each different county in Ireland have different names about them. Ireland wouldn't float if it didn't have a Cork in it and carry this. And Roscommon's phrase was, they're sheep stealers. Roscommon people are sheep stealers. I never would have believed that until our wedding day, and I found Kitty walking down the aisle after we got married with the Lamb of God hidden underneath her dress. I believed it from then on. I have 3 lovely daughters. Patricia is she was smart enough 10 years ago to quit work and be a stay-at-home mom and raised her 2 kids until just a couple of weeks ago. She was an intensive care cardiac nurse, and now she's back in a different intensive care department in St. Elizabeth's, making $55 an hour. I didn't make $55 the first week I came to America. My daughter Deirdre is different.
I'm not making $55.
She too is a stay-at-home mom, smart decision. She has to be because she plays soccer. She's into soccer and all those things. And I don't know how she does it, but she does it with 3 kids. And she is to be congratulated, staying at home and taking care of her children before school, after school, and all that she does. Our daughter Maura. Somebody once said that Deirdre Curran is her father in drag. My daughter Maura works at Harvard University, and she too has 2 children and works part-time so that she can be with her children. Speaking of children and grandchildren, I'm sure there's many of you in the audience here tonight who regret not having to spend the time with your children as you do maybe with your grandchildren. We were all too busy earning a living. We really didn't have time to spend time with the children. Thank God ours came out great. But I feel sad when I see what I can do now with my grandchildren, and I was not able to do with my children. And I thank God that they turned out very, very well. I would also like to mention very briefly in closing that my son Sean is not here tonight. My son Sean, although I don't want to shine too strong a spotlight on him, will give you an idea of his accomplishments. Just 2 weeks ago, he finished an opera in San Francisco Opera House, which I guess is the second largest opera house in America. The opera was Salome, which I guess has been playing there many years. He just finished that and got rave reviews. The month before that, he choreographed and directed another opera, two operas in St. Louis. Prior to that, he was hired to do an oriental arrangement for a group from Cambodia. How they select the son of Irish immigrants to choreograph Asia? I don't know, but he did it. It so happens his dance company of 10 dancers, he has 3 Asian dancers, but it had nothing to do with his appointment. He went to Asia and spent 4 weeks there recruiting dancers of Asian descent, as well as his own 3. And during his stint in Asia, he had an opening in Broadway, off-Broadway in New York, and contractual agreements were that he had to come back home and had to be at the opening. So he spent something like 47 hours flying, not necessarily flying, I should say, traveling, some of which was dead time on the ground. He did his shtick off-Broadway, and 2 days later went back to Cambodia to finish producing the program. That's the kind of work he's doing. That's the kind of man he is. You can look him up under Sean, Google him under Sean Curran Dance Company. So I am equally proud, very equally proud of all 4 of my children, and equally proud too of my 7 grandchildren. I am indebted to the organization Kelly Casa and her friends. I'm indebted to them for doing what they did tonight. Kelly invented a wonderful phrase that describes me to a T. We were at lunch arranging this one day, and we were talking about what I do, and Kelly said, "I have never met a microphone that I didn't like." I don't want to fall in love with this particular microphone because I'm detaining you, but I am so happy that my children and my grandchildren won't go to a McDonald's drive-thru or a Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru because I keep talking into the order box. To keep me home at nights, Kitty has installed a microphone on the headboard and track myself above the bed. I'm very happy your heartfelt gratitude, and I would be remiss if I missed in an opportunity like this a group of people like you. You know, not only do we have quantity here tonight, we have a very good attendance, they tell me, but we have quality. I can look around the room and see people who are followers. There are people who are absolute pillars in the Irish community that I have known for, we're celebrating our 4th decade on the air. Many of you I have known, and I'm not going to mention names, but many of you are head and shoulders above the ordinary person in the community, and you have helped us. And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. I'm a salesman by profession. I'd be remiss if I didn't say to you, if you know of anybody who would like to sponsor the largest Irish program in the world, the largest Irish program in the world, we'll give them penetration, we'll give them access to a great program, and most of all, we'll develop customers for them. Thank you.